All right. Welcome back to another Cactus Crossfire at Legislator Summer Camp, otherwise known as NCSL. I'm your co-host, Eddie Albister, and we have...
Sisto Veta from New Mexico. And Eddie, we've been just racking them up today.
I know. They cannot stop coming to the Cactus Crossfire.
Everybody wants to
It's
be on Cactus
amazing.
Crossfire.
I know.
It's crazy.
And one of my favorite legislators in the world is joining us today, the wonderful Assemblywoman Tracy Brown-May from Las Vegas. What's your legislative district?
Hey, Assembly District 42 is in the heart of Las Vegas, and it really represents a very diverse community. Chinatown, Koreatown, all of Spring Valley. I'm honored to have the IKEA in my district.
We only have one IKEA in Vegas, and it's in your district. All right.
So the best Swedish sausages in the entire Swedish meatballs. In all of Las Vegas. There you go.
I always joke. I mean, I used to go to NCSL back in the day. It was in Boston. It was in New Orleans, in Nashville. There was so many fun things. And I always joked, right? Like a bunch of legislators get together. We talk policy. We craft good ideas. But it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool things that happened. More than anything else, there was a chance to meet people from across the entire country and create relationships that you would never have a chance to do in the first place. Have you met anyone from other places in your service, in your time as NCSL?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the very best things that we can do. I have colleagues that I recognize and who recognize me from across the entire country. I have folks that I work with closely in Alaska and Oregon and Idaho. And so we build partner solutions that work in other communities that we get to bring here to Nevada, right? So that's why we come and build these relations for real solutions and real solutions.
Who's your favorite legislator outside the state of Nevada?
I cannot pick one.
Oh, come on.
Sorry.
Sisto, do you have a favorite outside of New Mexico?
Outside, representative. It's the Assemblywoman.
Yeah, Assemblywoman Brown-May. Yeah, smart man. That's all that matters. Yeah. So the other thing, Sisto and I, we were talking like everyone's going to talk about economy. What's another big issue that you think is confronting your district, confronting the state, confronting this country as we come up to the upcoming midterm elections?
Well, I think it's really about affordability and not just the economy. So it's about how do I afford the cost of groceries and gas? How do I afford childcare? How do I afford the cost of housing? And so I think it touches so many areas that's in everyday life. And we have to make it more granular than just talking about the economy, right? How is the state building sustainability and budgeting so that we can make sure to provide good services for our constituents? Now, one of the things we did in Nevada was Assembly Bill 452 passed during the last legislative session. And that bill required that our local energy company pay back overcharges to its customers. Now, sounds kind of silly, but you had to pass a law to require the energy company to pay back what they already charged us. And so that bill is now resulting in $65 million being returned to Nevadans across the state. That's real money in people's pockets. That's what matters.
That's incredible.
That's what we have to talk more about.
What an amazing bill. And I, the average person, did you know that if there was an overcharge, you're entitled that money back to? So, I mean, I feel like that seems like a common sense business practice, and the fact that they didn't do it.
The interesting thing that happens in New Mexico a lot of times is that actually nobody ever gets their overcharges back. So then it's held at the state. So what the state does is they hold it, and eventually everybody thinks of around Christmas time, I'm going to go look, see if I'm on that list of unclaimed property is what they call it.
Yep.
And so folks go in only after decades. And I claimed my unclaimed property last year, and it was 75 cents in New Mexico. So I think you're probably doing a little bit better than me on that.
Now we're seeing thousands of dollars being returned to single families for times that they've spent in the housing situation where they were being overcharged. It's incredible that someone would want to keep your money.
And with that type of legislation, that's one of the things that we're asking folks of Assemblywoman is that coming to NCSL, you get great ideas. But we're asking our folks there, how are you leaving those ideas like that piece of legislation behind with other states and surrounding states, especially in the West, where we're seeing that crunch on families all the time?
Right.
How are you communicating that to your friends and neighbors?
Wow, to my friends and neighbors, right? To social media and things like this. That's how we're getting the word out.
Cactus Crossfire, Sisto.
Yeah.
That's how people are paying attention.
Right.
When you're building coalitions with colleagues, though, it's coming to conferences like this and building that personal relationship. So Claire from Oregon knows who I am, and we get to talk about what did I work on and what did she work on. That's how we get to build the bridges from state to state. Now, other agencies, other states will look at an energy bill like the one that I passed. That also came from training sessions that NCSL provides to legislators, right? That was the Legislative Energy Horizons Institute. And how do we work to understand energy and energy infrastructure? The other thing we're talking about are data centers. Are all data centers created equal? They're not. So we have to figure out how do we provide energy for data centers, because AI is real and it's here. And now we need to know how to use it to our benefit and not to our detriment.
I love that. That is a great point, Assemblywoman. And I think too often we get reductionists in our views on policy, right? And I see it all across the West. People are becoming so aggressive on data centers, and they're creating this fake like straw man argument, knock it down. And the reality is, where do we want our data to go, right? And so it has to be created appropriately and fairly, also with respect to our environment and the needs of our community, so we're not exhausting energy across the board, right? Especially in your town of Las Vegas, the heat down there, the lack of water. This is a very thoughtful, strategic thing you guys have to do. So I love hearing that.
Yeah. Well, and then take energy and energy infrastructure. When you look at energy providers are required to meet peak demand, right? So now look at that if there's any type of natural disaster and a hospital situation, right? So let's just say we're in crisis communication. How do we make sure we have viable hospital systems? So healthcare is the other issue that I spend a lot of time in, and ensuring that we have healthy moms and healthy families, healthy babies, healthy infrastructure, so that we can go and get medical care that is both quality and affordable.
And I know one of the things, Sisto, you and I were talking about this. Our states need more providers so that the people that need care can get that care.
Yeah.
And oftentimes states tend to monopolize the service, not for the benefit of the patients, right, that are citizens, but they monopolize it for the structure of government. And unfortunately, that gets in the way too often, and that's a bummer. I know in New Mexico, aren't they sitting on a pot of cash that's not getting to consumers?
The great thing in New Mexico is our speaker was just here, and he just was reminded me that just recently in New Mexico now, anybody who goes to our state medical school, we will pay for their education. So once they're completed so we're growing our own doctors. So don't take that back and steal our doctors from New Mexico.
Yes.
But we're trying to grow our own, but it's those exchange of ideas that we're starting to see across the board that are making a real difference and impact across the entire West. So I think we've got great rock stars like yourself and Speaker Martinez and others that have sat down with us, and we're going to see a lot of great legislation coming up in this next session.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day, out of the conference. We're going to be here all week, but certainly want to check in maybe later to see if there's any unique ideas that popped up at conference at one of the sessions, and check back in with you. So thank you, Assemblywoman. Appreciate you.
Stories.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome to Cactus Crossfire, your go-to for hot takes and prickly debates.